an emergency summit over the weekend to address the violence in Sudan. He's also a former foreign minister of Ethiopia. Dr. Workneh Gebeyehu joins me now from Addis Ababa. So really great to have you on. Thank you so much. You held an emergency virtual meeting on Sunday. What was the outcome of that meeting? What is the sense in terms of trying to get the two generals to come to the negotiating table and find a way forward from here?
Thank you very much. Really, it was unfortunate and disturbing day for people of Sudan, that the eruption of the clash between the two parties. After that development, immediately the leaders of the region, most of them are neighboring countries, had conducted an emergency meeting how to really help the people of Sudan. And it was a very clear demonstration of solidarity with the people of Sudan. That meeting has concluded that, number one, cessation of hostility, ceasefire without any condition from both parties, as well as the meeting, the assembly has decided to send 3 of our heads of states, the senior heads of states, to travel to Khartoum and to discuss with all the parties about the situation. And IGAD is a roadmap, a way forward to really mediate the situation. But the most important thing now is the ceasefire. These things are going in the town, in the cities, that is harming a lot of civilians, a lot of destructions. That is really, really disturbing.
Let's talk about securing a ceasefire. From what I understand, South Sudan president will be going, Kenya's president as well as president of Djibouti. Are you going to try and secure a ceasefire before heads of state get into Sudan? What is the sense right now of being able to achieve that?
Yes, the leaders the team is headed by His Excellency President Salva Kiir of South Sudan, including President Ruto and President Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti. That the main and most important mission of this high delegation is, number one, to ceasefire and to stop the conflict. The other and the critical point is how to bring them back to the table of negotiation. IGAD, African Union, and United Nations, these tripartite mechanism, we were mediating all the parties. And one of the elements that have not resolved till now is the issue of bringing together, joining the rapid support force to the national army. So that is also the problem of the timing, that they have a difference. So this difference can be resolved through negotiation and on the table. So
I have to ask you this. I mean, are you worried? How important is it for these heads of state? How important is it for these heads of state to be successful in order to ensure that this doesn't escalate further? Are you concerned? Are you worried that this could escalate further?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you.
Are you worried, sir, that this could escalate further? Do you believe that the heads of state heading to Sudan will be able to achieve what you've just laid out?
Yeah, given the situation that now we are seeing, things are not in right direction. And unless and otherwise we stop this thing, this thing can escalate to other regional areas, and the damage is going to be very big. Definitely, we have to make something to stop the gun. Unless and otherwise, really, I have also a fear that this can escalate, of course.
So thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll be speaking in the next few days again. That was Workneh Gebeyehu joining us from Addis Ababa.